Hello, friends. I have been banned for a while on posting videos on YouTube. I have strikes and another one, and the channel is going to be deleted because of my uh, opinion that is not allowed on the beer virus. I have an opinion about an event that is occurring for the last, 18 months? No, 18 months, 15 months, 14 months. There have been severe restrictions on the movement and the conduct that people are allowed to participate in. There are very restrictive measures in place worldwide that restrict our movements, and I have ideas and opinions and thoughts, and I've done some research and I've looked into this and I've wondered, and it's called science and pseudoscience and conspiracy and all the things that come up. And there's such an enormous struggle, a gigantic epic struggle in social media and news to determine fact from fiction. And it's such a struggle. And we have what are called truthers, and then we have the fakers, and the truthers and the fakers seem almost identical. It's almost impossible to distinguish who's who anymore. And this monumental struggle going on, which by the way, is a fabulous strategy to disorient an already almost completely withdrawn into a shell population. Pause. If you want to disorient a population, you make sure they stay in their shell, or it's also called stay at home. We have stay at home orders in order to protect us from a runny nose. We don't want you to get a runny nose. We're very concerned about you. And if you opine, if you have an idea about people running around with runny noses, if you say, well, this is something that has happened for millennia, as far as we know. I mean, gosh, I don't even remember my shopping list from 2 weeks ago, but certain people are convinced that things happen 6,000 years or 10,000 years or even a billion years ago. Things happen. Carl Sagan, billions and billions of stars time ago, with magnificent insights into the meaning of the cosmos. But here we are. Runny noses are a problem, and unfortunately, part of our life, existence itself, is fraught with the idea of death, dying, rejuvenation. It's sort of cyclical, even if we can see it in the plant world. Plants die or are harvested and grow again the next season. It's like a tree loses its leaves, and then over the winter it's like looks dead, but hey, it is reborn. So we have kind of a world now that looks at absolutely common everyday experiences, even experienced over, let's say, just for argument's sake, for centuries and millennia, are now major issues, major focus of concern for a certain segment in the population. Maybe 1 in 1 million people, or one in maybe even 100 million people is concerned about something, and everybody has to follow that one person that has an idea about something that is happening, which may or may not be true. And of course, if you suggest it's not true, then you're out on your ass. If you have a YouTube channel, you cannot comment or opine on something that may not be as it appears to be. So if I say, like many other people, I guess they're called truthers, if they have an opinion about something, they are a threat and a danger to a system that relies on compliance. So I think I covered the gist of my strike kind of thing that's happened. And I mean, if they eliminate my YouTube channel, I must say I'm losing my the intensity behind the channel. The idea of continuing is obviously, since Fukushima, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest toxic spewing event in the history of toxic events, possibly maybe when the Earth was burning 100,000 years ago or something for decades or something. I don't know. There have been events in the history of the Earth that we can only imagine, and proof proof is a wonderful idea, but we have to suspend our belief for most of the things we're told, especially by people in the white coats. It's just how I perceive things. And people say, "Well, you're just some artist making paintings in the middle of nowhere, and who's interested in your ideas?" And they may be very right. They may be very right that I'm just an artist spewing some ideas. And in my defense, I have to say that I feel myself part of a clan of people that still employ their conscience and are not afraid to express their conscience. Acting the conscience sometimes is difficult. It's not an easy task. I talk about this quite often, and to do the right thing is mentally, we might have a conception of what the right thing is, but acting it is, that's where the rubber hits the road. We need to act our conscience, and many people have this noble quality in their, they don't have to think about it. They have this noble quality of just acting the right way. I admire that. I have to think about it sometimes. Yeah, it's like it takes work. It takes work to be a person of conscience. So my thoughts today is I'm going to restate two fundamental important ideas that I am aware of, that I would say are unequivocal facts. That is, we are being poisoned by one of the most epic events to occur in the history of the Earth. That is called Fukushima and the nuclear reptile syndicate. Interestingly, I've not a single strike on my opinion about the nuclear bastards, which is interesting. But a more direct threat, the reason I have my strike is because I made comments and I reposted certain statistics on the beer virus, which were deemed to be um, contravening the consensual medical notions about what's going on. And all the evidence, the observation, are contrary to what we're being told. And that's basically what I said. If science has any value in a person's life, science depends on, on open thought, on questioning, but that, of course, as many people have pointed out, is no longer allowed. You're not allowed. So when we enter into this next stage of more and more things not becoming allowed, I mean, we're not allowed to do um, the majority of activities has been outlawed and is covered in the criminal code, in the civil code, the books, the libraries that are full of books that outline what we're allowed and not allowed to do is a horror story. If you actually realize the amount of legalese and rules applied to our lives in what is understood to be a law and order system, is actually, they should just outline what we can do rather than what we cannot do, and it'll be a much smaller library. So if we have to remember the things we can do, which might be a handful of things, as opposed to millions of things we can't do, I would say that would be a better approach by the owners to at least, present to us, and it's all kind of clear that way. I mean, easier recalled, especially for people like me that I have difficulty remember my shopping list from 2 weeks ago. So if I know what I'm allowed to do, which is now to stay at home and keep my distance and wash my hands and permit to be injected with some kind of a substance that nobody really knows what the outcome might or might not be. It's supposed to protect you from what is considered to be a beer virus that is rampaging through our fragile China shop all over the world. I'm supposed to take this, and I'm quite distressed about the number of people that have admitted to have taken this. I'm not really distressed about the number of people that are willingly lining up that haven't really thought about it. They just say, well, I just follow what I'm told. But even then, the people who have been quite contrarian or understanding that the world is not what it appears to be, embracing the idea of taking a vaccine that may, or in a short term or certainly long term, be a lot more risky than the runny nose that you're afraid of. So as a final note today, like I say, this is a synopsis of my understanding. And on the beer virus, I had a visit yesterday of a lovely woman who is a nurse. She's a nurse in a retirement home, and she has been asked not to do her job because of COVID. Oh, people are sick and we need nurses, but no, nurses are not required in our retirement home because of COVID. So you see, this didn't even make, when I mentioned this and I said, doesn't this sound a little bit peculiar that nurses are there to help the afflicted and the sick, people suffering from health issues, but oh no, stay home, it's safer. This makes no sense. So they're laying off nurses. She's getting full pay for staying at home, which to me makes no sense. But there you go. There's another opinion that I have based on my observation that is saying to me this is totally irrational. But even the people involved, this lady involved, said no, she's afraid of COVID, and she can't do her job because people are sick. It's like people are sick, and I'm a healthcare worker, and I'm going to stay home. All right. So that's basically today my synopsis. I am posting a little bit on BitChute. I may switch over to BitChute. I kind of doubt it because the first statement I made about making videos is losing its it's losing its sweetness for me. If well, sweetness is a bad word for it because it was quite difficult with the level of attacks and things that happened on YouTube. Some of the time earlier on, maybe 5-6 years ago, was a lot more difficult. That has subsided substantially because I don't believe I'm perceived as a threat. Of course, a lowly artist with 150 or less views is targeted by YouTube not to be allowed to post things. So I don't understand that. With people getting millions of views, like magnificent idols, the Jordan Petersons of the world who are dominating the platforms, these types, the Alex Joneses, the Young Turks, people that are getting huge populations are listening to these people, and they're interested in a lowly artist with a few views and strike him down. Again, there's something there that doesn't make sense, but I guess that's how things work. The surveillance system is working perfectly on even isolating the most insignificant contributors in this system on these platforms. So, do I have anything else to say today? Maybe to end it, this kind of constant struggle that I suggested at the beginning of this video in terms of people struggling to determine truth, fact from fiction, and fake. This is, to a lot of people, appears to be an epic struggle and is motivating them to post. And the reason I'm losing interest in posting is because, obviously, not just because I'm getting very few views. I love the people that comment and come and listen to my thoughts, what I have to say. But I think this is kind of coming to its conclusion. I think we're ending this period of social media platform and taking it seriously in any way, because it's also been hijacked and manipulated to such an extent that you can do your little idiosyncrasies. Everything is now, whether it's true or not, has become an idiosyncrasy on some kind of, whether it's a conspiracy or whether it's a legitimate a platform or idea or consensual, conspiracy, consensual. They're virtually the same as far as I'm concerned now. It is so confused in people's minds. These videos, my videos, the amazing Polly, who does great work, even Owen Benjamin and Quantum of Conscience, and Ken Wheeler with his photography and comments on the I have to say, I love Ken. He's such a smart person, and he would actually make a lot of sense if he was able to overcome. He has some kind of a personal affliction about his own life, and it's clouding his vision about the meaning of the universe and the true nature of our reality in terms of the physical universe. There is like a real disconnect with Ken about the emotional universe. Not that he hasn't felt things emotionally, but he tends to discredit all that and goes for the tantra, the ability to translate hidden languages and understanding the universe. All that stuff is I guess it has some value. But if I as a person cannot recognize my own afflictions, they will cloud everything I see out there. I need to be able to clarify my inner world to the extent that I can perceive an outer world, because as Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within. So that ability to go within and not isolate, but incorporate, be part of something rather than to observe something out there, which is the big mistake that the white coats make. They're always insisting that we are detached and we are observers. They don't see themselves, well, some of the smart ones realize that the observer is as crucial as what it is that you're observing. So this is an aspect of Ken. I'm not picking on Ken. I find him quite entertaining, and I find myself challenged to look at myself through another person's way of approaching the world they live in. So it helps me, and I make comments and he never answers because he's upset. The same way with Quantum of Conscience. They have this sort of Swami school mentality that they have reached such a high level of insight that a contrary comment is usually perceived as an attack. And maybe sometimes I lose myself in being too aggressive about this. I don't know why. But I shouldn't be that way. I'm learning not to be as hurtful. I have to be a little bit more, I guess, gentle in my suggestions rather than to be so confrontational. But again, my comment on this is that we need to resolve that inner world every day, and it's not a thing that ends. It's an ongoing thing to explore that inner world, which is why I love painting. I've said this often. I love painting. I love doing that exploration, which is basically an inner exploration to figure out what the heck is really going on is from this kingdom within. So as long as that is not on the radar screen of people, there's going to be difficulties that I have, like especially with somebody like Owen Benjamin, who is building his own sort of dynasty. I think he calls it Bertaria. He's actually inculcated people in his own particular dynasty, and he kind of flubbed at one point. He kind of made a mistake. He said "my people," and it revealed this this sort of notion of being a leader of a clan. So when that starts to happen, ding-a-ling-a-ling, the danger, Will Robinson danger lights come on, and I realize there is something untoward, no matter how wonderful and how right people are and what the things that they say. But if they're in their inner world unresolved around this magnificence, this mystery, then it all goes kind of, as I call it, mucky fuck. It doesn't work. It'll collapse in some way, and his magnificent utopia is going to collapse around him. But I hope not. I hope it works out for Owen and all the other people, and Ken, and I do make comments on their videos. Not that they care or it matters much anymore, but. So that's it. Hey, that's even longer than I thought. My YouTube strikes are on until I think August or something. So if this should offend YouTube, it may end my YouTube existence, and I'm not going to rejuvenate the channel when it's gone. because why? Because I'm not going to contribute to the idiosyncrasies, what I consider to be now mostly 99.999% of all YouTubes are basically just idiosyncrasies, because most people are not able to resolve the mystery within themselves. It's always projected out. And I am other than being entertained, it's really of very little value. Entertainment has some value, but it has very little value. So all the best to people that listen to me. And if I disappear on YouTube, I may even make a video that makes me disappear to force their hand. And instead of me doing it, I'll have them doing it. I have to think about that. Anyway, all the best.